I first met my co-host when she had a syndicated talk show all about sex. Sex with Sue McGarvie. And I am the milkman John Mielke, host of The Milkman Show, heard on radio stations across North America. And my home base, blasttheradio.com. We're glad you're here. Let's get turned on.
Back live for Turned On the Podcast from the BTRV for Mental Health.
I'm making phallic symbols with my...
Why are we making phallic symbols?
Because I've got this huge phallic-shaped mic in my face. Yeah.
Well, I added
I want to do obscene things to it.
Yeah, I added a little extra poofiness to it.
I know, I like it.
A little more girth.
Yeah, it's a little more girthy, yeah.
It's softer, though.
I like it.
All
Turned
right.
on the podcast. Here we are with girth.
So, what's first up on our conversation today?
Sex hacks you need to know about. What are the sex hacks you got to do like this weekend to do, to have crazy wild sex that you haven't thought about?
Okay.
All right. Number 1, if you do not have a lock on your door, I want you to try different, because I think locks are important, and I think you need to go to, the hardware store and get a lock. But anyway, I think kids need to know that you have time alone with your partner. But apparently you can close the door if it opens from the inside and just put a door jamb in it.
Sure.
And do that. Whatever you need to do to not do that. But a lot of people are like, no, the kids will walk in. And I'm like, no, you need to get it on. And just like they need time with their friends, you need time with, your other significant other. So,
Agreed.
All right. It's called femoral sex. Some people say femoral sex. It's not quite sex, but it's perfect for those. You don't want to make a big mess. Well, it's kind of messy, but I use those wipes. I have I love my Muff wipes, and I have baby wipes everywhere. So what you do?
Wait. When you go to the store and you buy them,
I buy
are they
baby
actually
wipes.
called Muff wipes?
Yes, but you can't order them at the store. You have to order them online. I love my Muff wipes. So when I'm at the cottage,
I was going to say, I don't think I've walked into
and the
drugstore
heater's
and
not
seen
on
those.
at the cottage, I can, get rid of the girl gooey bits. But baby wipes work just as well. So what you want to do, lube your thighs, slide between.
I always want to lube my thighs. Every minute of the day.
And you want to lube her thighs. And, you got that, right?
Well, yeah.
Well, yeah.
How many times have we talked about, what is that lube that we keep seeing in the...
I brought my...
Oh, you've got your... Okay, we're bouncing around subject to subject. We have your vulva puppet.
Well, this is not my vulva puppet. This is a clit, baby. This is a clit. This is the legs. This is the clit.
Okay. This is not the
clit.
puppet then.
This is not the puppet.
All
No,
right.
Mulva's the whole thing. So no, it's I'm just looking at the thighs between the clit, doing that. That's what I was trying to show them.
Got it.
For those of you who want to watch us on Lemon Social and on YouTube, you can actually see our smiley faces.
Yes, we appreciate you downloading the audio portion of the podcast, but there's a visual component to this now as well, which we don't talk about often enough.
Yes. Other sex hacks include flashing. Flashing. Sexy texting,
Sue
sexy
actually
photos.
just did.
I just did. I just
Sort
flashed.
of.
I have to do my button up now. Up. The grapefruit blowjob. Okay, next week I'm going to get a grapefruit. I'm going to get a grapefruit, and we're going to do step by step the grapefruit blowjob. So
I'm going to do a blowjob on a grapefruit. Is this what you're saying?
Yes, we're going to
All
do
right.
collectively. I'll get 2 grapefruits. So you need to watch us
Now
next
it's a team
week
sport.
because I'm going to have anatomically correct dildos. We're going to have a grapefruit. We are going to show you how to do the grapefruit blowjob and describe it online. And we're going to actually step by step. So it's another reason to subscribe to our YouTube channel.
I'm curious, though, because a grapefruit, my immediate reaction is a grapefruit is not exactly phallic shaped.
No.
So
I will tell you all about it. But basically, think of it as a sleeve. You cut off the top, you cut off the bottom, you hole it out. And you use it as a sleeve. As you go down, your mouth goes down. And the sleeve of the grapefruit, cut the top off, cut the bottom off. You got a
like
round
like an
sleeve.
open-ended fleshlight.
Like an open-ended fleshlight. You got it. But we're
Okay.
actually going to do it. You'll get to see me do a blowjob on I know it's going to be awesome. So we'll do that next week. And, and the magic of coconut oil, they're saying, so I once interviewed the most famous madam in Paris, and I asked her what her secret, and she's like, oh, my secret. And she said warmed oil. That was what she did. She did warmed oil. And I'm practicing my French accent, which is going very badly because
Just
I want
pretend you are Pepe Le Pew. And
pretend
it will
I
already sound sexy when you talk
pretend
in a
I'm
French
Pepe
accent.
Le Pew. Okay, because I want to do it with my new Sue puppet, my sexy the evil,
that's
the
the
evil
voice we've
Sue.
landed
I
on
think
for the-
I think
okay.
we're going to do the sexy
Vulva.
French accent. Anyway, but that piece. So she's warmed oil, but apparently coconut oil has properties to soothe all of that inflammation, especially around the head of the penis. So a little bit of warmed coconut oil this weekend. Your
And it
sex
always
hack.
smells great.
It always sex. Oh, it's so good for you.
Yeah. Your email address is?
Sue at sexwithsue.com.
And we have a listener question, and we appreciate those. You can email us anytime. If you prefer
excited.
to text, by the way, feel free. 613-604-6464. 613-604-6464. And if you're stateside, 941-725-6455. All right, our question is
From Jules. She says, Sue, I got an issue about swinging. I've been listening to these podcasts, and they talk about what to wear, the etiquette, how to meet people. She says, and they talk a little bit about the stuff that's bugging me. She says, the stuff that we're, coming up with her and her partner are... What happens when one of you wants to escalate things? They want to go from, sort of soft swap in the same room to, being at the bottom of the orgy pile. That's kind of an escalation. She says, I'm worried, and my partner's worried about performance. He's worried about, lasting long enough and being hard enough. I'm worried about, am I clean enough? Like, do I smell nice? So my thighs are too fat. Like, I'm worried about all of that. And we're struggling a little bit with jealousy, not as much, but we want to know what's the stuff about swinging that we could worry, that we could solve, because those are the therapy things that we're worried about. And I'm like, those probably are in the top 10 most common questions I get, as a therapist about the lifestyle.
it all comes down to communication at all times, at all levels, at every step of the way. It's a matter of, if you were at a party the night before or a get-together the night before, you need to sit down and you need to talk about what we liked, what we didn't like, how we felt about it. We need to discuss how we resolve that going forward, signals, communications, secret words, etc. that, can help get us out of those situations beforehand. And you just keep evolving it. But at all times in the swinging community, it is communication, communication, communication.
Talk about it a few 100,000 times.
Yep.
Yes. But here are the three. Here's the sort of the summary. And this is like each of those I could do a week on. But let's just talk about the basics. Performance. Boner pills. I don't care how old you are. Everybody needs boner pills when they're nervous, right? It's a bucket of cold water on your erections. There's no shame in it. There's no shame in using the coconut oil up there to make you all gooey, and no shame in having enhancements to get harder, which will also slow down the ejaculation. I'm going to say enough about that. Plus, you're using condoms, which you can use some desensitizing gel inside the condom if you're worried about it.
Cool.
Number 2, escalating. A lot of people don't. A lot of people stay in one area. They start and they don't, if it's like porn. If you're going to be watching, girl on girl, that's kind of your thing. You're not going on to, you may want to, just out of curiosity, look at grannies and midgets. But the truth is you don't tend to migrate in terms of your preferences all the time. So you tend to stay in
that zone.
In
Right.
a zone.
Yep.
If you don't, that's something that you can work out together. And if you're not, you say, here are my limits. I need you to respect them. And
Again, communication. Yep.
Number 3, jealousy. That's a whole kettle of fish. But it's basically, your jealousy is an innate emotion that tells you to pay attention because something that you value is at risk. So what happens is, in terms of jealousy, you communicate, but if your partner is congruent, meaning they do what they say they're going to do, and they say they're going to be home at this time, or they say that they're going to check in with you, or they say that they're going to be they're going to listen to the rules you have, and you're not doing things without a condom, and you're not kissing like you said you're going to do, or you're not just playing without people asking you and you've got your hands in somebody. No, you do what you say you're going to do, and you follow up. And I like safe words, right? Mine are, if you hit the warning track and we need to talk about it, Brussels sprouts. If it's really like this is a problem, DEFCON 5, I use Ebola. And that means let's run and we need to talk about it. So some stuff you can work on. Those are sort of 3 things. Great question. Lots to it. And we're gonna, we cover some of that. Maybe we should do a lifestyle special on one of them.
Let's do that. Happy to do that. And if I could recommend another podcast for this person that I think may be of use, it's a fun little podcast. It's called Accidental Swingers.
Yeah, they're fun.
They are fun. And here's what I love about them. The very first episode, they tell the story of how they were invited to supper with a neighbor. Unbeknownst to them, they ended up, being Proposition, thank you. I was going to say proposed to, and I knew that wasn't right. And then, they came home and they talked about it. But from that point forward, they started investigating swinging. And whenever they would be in the car going to or going from, they had a little digital recorder.
Yeah.
And they were recording their conversation. I don't know why they started doing that, but they started recording it. And they air some of those conversations. So you can hear that communication. You can hear the thought processes. You can hear them talking about jealousy and safe words and how to get, what their comfort levels are. It's a great podcast, especially if you're just starting into the swinging community. Accidental Swingers. I've not met them. I don't know them. I don't endorse them. Obviously,
we should write them. They should be our friends.
I just did an endorsement for them, so I shouldn't say don't
we should send them that link and say, hey, join us on our podcast. We love you.
Yeah. Things Sue McGarvie says to yours truly that are actually business related, but sound dirty. From now on, I'm just going to show up in your driveway and we're going to do it.
Yes. Because trying to do it remotely was just bullshit this morning. It was just
We
bullshit.
had so many technical issues. The RV, I'm working on the bathroom, and I'm like, Sue, there's no way we can, do the podcast in the RV today. And finally she's like, I'm coming over. We're going to do it in your driveway.
There are mosquitoes in here, though. Yes, there are no mosquitoes in my studio. There's mosquitoes in your remote studio, but that's okay. Makes it so if there's a buzzing sound, it is not me with the vibrator. It is a mosquito.
It may be me with a vibrator. I'm just saying. Anyway, we are live from the BTRV for Mental Health.
I call it the RV of love.
The RV of love. Yeah. Well.
I think you need to have a side. If I get you a sticker, the RV of love, AKA the RV of love. Yes.
I mean, there are pineapple towels in here now.
Well, but love could just be a mental health thing. I could call it. I think I may order you a RV of love. Yeah.
All right.
Vistaprint. They're having a sale. Oh, and here comes our Tuesday morning garage at the garbage pickup.
That's fine.
All right. You're so okay.
You want to wait for the garbage truck, or you want to just keep
No,
going?
let's keep going.
All
Fuck
right.
it.
You have a math problem.
I have a math problem. Oh, let me tell you, because I have to. It was published in Chaos, an interdisciplinary journal of nonlinear science. It's a math thing. So basically, there's a bunch of math guys realized too much excitement can stop men from climaxing, but scientists have a fix. A team of mathematicians have developed a model which can map the best way for human males to reach sexual climax. Yes, what they found is getting too excited early on can actually prevent men from climaxing. You must have had that, right? If you've been so excited, or if you've been so excited and then you've slowed things down and then later on couldn't come. Has that ever happened?
Yes.
Yes. That happens to a lot of guys.
I'm being silly on camera,
Yeah.
but yes. No,
Yes.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I've gotten so excited, so into it that, and I find myself apologizing. I'm so sorry. I can't just, because you worry, like, what's she going to think if I can't come? Is she going to think it's her or whatever else? It's like, no, I'm just so over the top excited.
And if you can be the Energizer Bunny, she should not be complaining about that.
Well,
right?
There is that aspect.
First
to it too.
sexual mathematical model of sexual performance. Constantine is his name. I think that's funny. Anyway, result of physiological and psychological aspects. What happens is basically, in a nutshell, guys overthink it. They overthink it, and they need to let go to let go. And I'm thinking, that's the thing. I know there's no one size fits all, but they need to realize that, too much psychological arousal early on can make it harder to reach orgasm. So it's about chilling. So one of the things they talk about is something called EFP, which is, emotional freedom technique. So it's a little bit of the tapping. Basically, it's very science-based. If you can send an electrical impulse to your amygdala, the part that deals with emotion and excitement, which is, here I am flashing you again, which is circles here because again, it sends an electrical
So
impulse.
for those listening, then, so it's just above the breastbone.
Just above the breastbone
just
in
below
little
the neck.
circles. Or if you go Google
Sort of between the breastbone and the shoulder.
Yes.
Okay.
And you can do emotional freedom technique. The other one is around the eye, up through the temple, and around the back of the nose. Again, it's tapping or even a stroking. That sensation sends an electrical impulse to your neural system and tells you to reprocess this. Basically, it stops your cortisol level from getting high. So mathematicians and scientists are saying, you lose my button again. You want to, I know, right? Cleavage.
I have the best job.
I don't know why people want to see my middle-aged cleavage, but still.
Why not?
Why not? There you go. It's about letting go and not overthinking it. And if you do, circles above your breastbone, let's get your cortisol level down, and all will be well.
Can I tell you how relieved I am? Because there wasn't a whole lot of math involved. Mathematicians are in on the science, but I thought for a moment, because I'm really bad at math, I was really going to be having an issue here.
You told me you can do angles. 45 degrees, corner, miter cut.
Oh, those kinds of angles. Uh-huh. I can do those too, yes. Well, if you've been looking for a new career, I'm open to the idea. Sue's here with some sex jobs.
Well, and some jobs that are sexy that you may not think are sexy. I know I have some real sex jobs.
How unusual that I would misinterpret what Sue actually wants to talk about.
Well, no, it's both things,
Okay.
really.
All right.
Okay, so sexy jobs that you can get. If you're unemployed and you decide you want, and you don't have the cleavage for an OnlyFans account, what you may want to do is know who's hiring in the sex industry. Number one, Hustler. Larry Flint's.
I may be familiar with Hustler. I read it only for the articles, but yes.
Yes. They have a number of stores. Apparently, they are hiring across the country for visible merchandise display. So if you like to handle and creatively display dildos, apply to Hustler. They're hiring.
Number two, Hustler had stores.
Apparently they have stores.
All right.
So Pornhub, which is owned by a company called MindGeek.
Which is based in Ottawa, the same city
we're in. Yeah.
Which people...
I know.
They just don't believe me when I tell them that.
Yeah. Stuart Duncan's
just
involved in
bought
that. Yeah. Data processes, and they're looking for data processors and writers. I think you're writing blogs underneath or little blurbs underneath the Pornhub thing going, hey, he put his long bit into her heaving bosom. Yeah.
Or are they hiring, now I know it's all artificial intelligence that does it, but at one point there had to be somebody who had to type the dialogue.
I know,
right?
what?
The closed captioning for porn. I always thought, you're right.
Deeper, harder, more. Put your back into it, dude.
How simple, but also how not simple that job would be.
That would be funny. Anyway, they're hiring.
All right.
Have you ever heard of a sex doll genie? Apparently, it's a great work from home. Apparently, the sex doll guys, they're called genies. So if there's a problem with your sex doll, if you're doing returns, if you're doing, customer service for sex dolls, it's a remote job and they call you a genie. So some of the sex doll companies are hiring for that.
I mean, it's no sandwich artist, but sex doll genie have a nice ring to it.
I think so.
Yeah.
Bombshell Restaurants is owned by the publicly traded RCI Entertainment, and they're basically a Hooters on steroids, and they have private gentlemen's clubs, and it's different than the Playboy clubs, but in that, I know.
Okay.
RCI Entertainment. So you want to invest in something with sex? They're a publicly traded company. Can Soda. Well, you can get paid to watch porn and write verified reviews. I know. Air Sprint is a
Wait a minute, you just skipped over that last one. I'm intrigued by that.
All right, you can get paid to watch porn with verified reviews. Can Soda. That's all I know about it.
Oh, okay.
That's the company, Can Soda.
Oh, okay. I'm like, what did Can Soda have to do with it? I apologize. Okay,
Can Soda, the company. Air Sprint is a private, basically a flight company. Like if you want to get on a private airplane, and you have to have a certain look. You have to send in your picture. But if you've been on a commercial flight lately, you know that air hostessing is no longer a sexy job. It is like dealing with grumpy people. But private air hostessing, apparently is all about, can you walk backwards in heels and what do you look like? And are you tall enough to reach up for the champagne flutes on the top thing?
Catering to a very elite
Class
of people, obviously,
yes.
who have different expectations and perhaps are there for Mile High Club reasons.
Mile High Club reasons.
Sure.
So if you want to work in the sex industry and in the air, apparently Air Sprint is one of those companies.
I can walk backwards in heels. I can do that.
I think you can. Yeah. Phone sex. They're still doing some phone sex.
They are.
I know.
I've got a friend who does that. She's got a whole shed in her backyard that, she's got the sound dampening and all that and a little portable heater in there. So she's fine in the wintertime. And she makes a killing at it.
And we should practice that. We should do that. A little phone sex. Anybody want to say Sue at Sex with Sue? Say me, send us your fantasies. We'll read it and see and act it out. Yeah. Sure. And then there was a couple of jobs which I thought were really cool that weren't about sex. Like if you want to be a cart cat, at the golf course, apparently the skankier you wear. And there was somebody who's saying that they all went out and they decided that was going to be their side hustle this summer. And apparently they're raking it in hand over fist. Push-up bra, and you can't wear high heels on the golf course because it makes little divots in the. Yeah,
but you can sexy that up, and I know exactly the appeal to that because and listen, it gets better the better golf course you play at too.
Just thoughts you want to do that. So things if you are unemployed or want to try a side hustle this summer, look at the sex industry.
So earlier we answered a listener question. By the way, thank you for those. Sue at sexwithsue.com is the email address. And again, if you want to text the show, 613-604-6464. In the States, 941-725-6455. But we talked about communication. And now we want to sort of extrapolate on that aspect of a relationship a little more. It is the Sex Bill of Rights.
Well, there's this whole movement to really outline basically your mission statement of what it is you want as well as sexually. So one of my friends, Jewish girl, got, Orthodox. I was in her wedding party. She had an Orthodox Jewish wedding. And you get a Jewish marriage contract, which she put up in her bedroom, which said that she could demand sex every day and twice on the Sabbath. I thought it was hysterical. But yeah, I know. So as a woman, you can demand sex from your partner yes, it is part of her Jewish marriage.
I've just never heard of any marriage vows that include such thing. That blows my mind.
It does. Isn't that cool?
Because I've always joked, my vows were simple. I, John Mielke, do, solemnly recognize that from this day forth, I can have sex whenever the hell she wants. Yeah.
Well, the reality is that, that it's a thing. Anyway, I thought it was great. And she's been married for, she's got a son who's 30. So,
So for a while.
For a while.
Yeah.
And, in terms of doing that, but you want to thrive, you want to come up with ideas as a couple. What is your sexual bill of rights? And yes, you want to be treated well, and yes, all of those things. But as couples, it's kind of, I like it as a mission statement. I used to do it instead of New Year's resolution. Write up your mission statement. What are we, what are our goals this year?
What is our why?
I know. Well, I'm saying I definitely want a new deck at the cottage, and number 2 is I want to go away for Christmas because I hate Christmas and I want to fly someplace warm with everybody.
You hate Christmas?
I really hate Christmas. I'm a Halloween girl. I have a lot of crazy bad things have happened to me at Christmas. It's just an association, and I'm aware of it. And there's things I like, but I want to fly someplace warm. Anyway, that was sort of my goal this year. But if you want to do it, but I also said I want to work on, orgasm gap, or I want to give pleasure, or I want to work on our desires, or what's your fantasies, and can we hit them this year? So I think, your sexual bill of rights or your sexual mission statement, ask your partner, okay, how are we acting out your fantasies this year, and what are we doing about it? And would you like sex more often, less often? Would you like me to hang you from the little clips we have in the ceiling? How about the carabiners? Is there more spanking involved? Women's underwear, whatever. I think that needs to be involved in your sexual bill of rights. And have you been talking about it?
So just like you plan your RSPs, just like you plan your taxes, you've got all the, just like you plan Christmas or you plan Halloween, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's such an important part of your life. You're right. We don't sit down and actually talk about it and plan it out enough. And again, it comes down to that communication of, what do you like? What are you not getting enough of? What do you want less of? Does this make you jealous? Does this make you uncomfortable? Those are healthy things. There should be a day on the calendar set aside just for that. Never mind Valentine's Day. It's negotiate.
Yeah. It's not steak and blowjob day. Yes. Yeah.
No, let's not do away with that one. Let's not be too quick now, Sue. It's Turned On the podcast. We're on.
Hey, if you got a question for Sue, you got comments on the podcast, we're on Google, we're on Spotify, we're on Apple Podcasts, we're on iHeart, we're on Amazon Music. Ask your smart speaker to play Turned On the podcast. We'd love to hear from you. What's the email address, Sue?
Sue@sexwithsue.com.
Forward to another conversation a week from now.